one way or another. And my deepest gratitude and thanks for all of your support at every level, in every way, all through these years. Because it is a collaborative effort. Without the artist, without the audience, it doesn't work. So today, last night, today now, is a glimpse at some of those artists that have been working in the programs on their own, that have come to Robey on occasion and said, we'd like to do something with you, or we'd like to develop something. This is a culmination for now of a lot of that. So again, wanted to thank those people in particular, and this whole effort, because it is really a collaborative. There's a lot of celebrations going, and I get a lot of that, as well as the good, the bad, the ugly. I get a lot of salutes, but I have to say that, you know, I manage a lot of this on paper and in ideology and in ideals, principles, and keeping the vision on the track that Danny Glover and myself had 20 years ago about what we felt was needed in this community to bring our artists to another level that only a collaborative, ongoing training and community could make work. And I think we've done pretty good. We've done pretty good. So again, it only works when everyone involved commits. And that's what's happened. So things have gone really well, and I'm very thankful for it. Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson was the inspiration. Paul, as most of you probably know, was all of the things that he was and more. A Renaissance man that spoke and sang in 20 languages. Can you even name 20? Right? That's a difficult one. To just even, and he spoke and sang and was such a beloved artist, athlete, scholar, linguist, singer, stage actor, lawyer, activist, and at the end, a humanitarian. And that's what drove him, the brotherhood man. And that is, too, what guides the Robey Theatre Company. The whole idea that even though this is focused on black experience, like most ethnicities, include everyone somewhere along the line. We're all interacting. But in this case, it was about a certain type of aesthetic that was specifically about a sensibility about people of color. And that was the priority, unlike the exception to the rule in most mainstream theater. And I think y'all know what I'm talking about. So this is what we've tried to do. This is what we've worked for and continue to work for. Again, there's a lot of hands in this pot for 20 years. And they've all been very welcome and needed. Should thank our board of directors, our board of, some of them are here, yes? Please stand if you're here, the board of directors, Robey's board of directors. That's Melina Gay and Harold Sylvester back.
Pardon?
I'm just saying who that was. Yeah. Okay. There's more, but they're not here right now. Our board of advisors, that's a whole bevy of people, including yourselves. Probably should leave it like that, yes, for a minute. What you're about to see is a culmination of all those efforts in a kind of microcosm. Leave something to your imagination because the production values are minimal because we have so many pieces of work. But you can fill in a lot of blanks, I think. All right? we should close those doors and we can get started. The first play is called The Agreement by Kurt Maxey, directed by Dylan Southard, Anthony Pellegrino, and Sean Fuller are the actors. Here we go.
Where are we, Mr. Truman? Not purgatory, I hope.
We're in the basement of the West Wing.
How about that?
President.
What?
I prefer to be called Mr. President.
Mr. Truman, aren't we all equal under the eyes of God?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
When you are the leader of the free world, when you are in charge of the most powerful entity on the face of this earth, sometimes I get carried away. You're larger than I thought.
Should I take that as a compliment?
Just an observation.
Meticulously noted.
We're starting off on the wrong foot here.
It was you who extended the invitation, and it was I who changed my schedule to be more accommodating.
I know that. Don't start nagging me. You sound like my wife. Let's just stop the wagon train.
Stop the wagon train.
Just stop it. That's all. Just take things down a notch and relax.
I'm listening.
You can call me Harry.
Harry.
I had no choice in the choosing of my name. I'm not going to lie.
You may call me Paul, Harry.
Good. Always good to get some of the formalities out of the way as soon as possible. Please have a seat. Is it after 4 p.m.?
You know what time it is.
How about you and I have a little aperitif before our dinner engagements?
I don't drink much whiskey, Harry.
That's not what I have here.
Nope.
And what's brought up from the wine cellar, just for you, our crystal cream.
One of the finest elixirs created by man.
Now wait.
How can I refuse? I grew a fondness for Harvey's while I lived those exciting and significant years in London. The gaiety, the richness, the creaminess of this ambrosia seems to be unappreciated by the unsophisticated palates of most Americans. How did you know I had an appreciation for Harvey's?
I spent some time in London during the Great War. Learned to like the stuff myself.
That's right. You were an artillery officer.
World War I. The one we just finished was much worse than the one I was in.
We're not going to toast the war.
Hell no. Oh, here. Stuck my head in the kitchen.
Yes. The acidity of the lemon helps to ward off the sweetness of the sherry. Just the way I prefer.
To a better America.
To a better America. Yes.
You know, when Bess and I are in Independence, Missouri, she'll occasionally have a sherry with me at the dinner table.
What about when you were here in Washington?
Well, that's a horse of a different color.
Hence you have this office of seclusion.
Better believe it.
A man should always have a place where he can privately think and drink.
Exactly. How was your day?
Busy. I had to attend several busy meetings on the crusade against lynching, of which I am founder and leader of.
I'm aware of that, Paul.
Thank you.
Sounds like you're some sort of president. I had a slightly slightly nerve-wracking breakfast in Alexandria, Virginia this morning.
So I heard.
Just what did you hear?
Some folks wanted to tar and feather you.
The daughters of the American Revolution need to realize the times are changing. Did you know I was there?
Well, the servants and the kitchen staff covered.
I see, said the blind man. Most mornings when I wake up, I wish I was still a Missouri judge, not even a senator. That damn Roosevelt had me on one hell of a short chain.
I'm sure he did.
Why is that?
Well, Mr. Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, or should I call him Frank?
Say whatever you want.
Mr. Roosevelt struck me as a man who had to have control over things, sort of like Tom Pendergast.
My old boss, Hodges.
The ex-boss of the Kansas City political machine, a convicted felon.
He was my friend, and I his. Hell, I didn't even know about the A-bomb until after Roosevelt was dead. His wife and mistress knew more about what was going on than I did. One day I'm a nobody, and 82 days later, President of the United States. The man with the answers and the power to solve all our problems. What a crock of crap. Everybody with a hand and a smile and a pen for you to sign something. Are you aware of how much we hoodwinked the British during the war? Or how badly this country needs jobs for the GIs that have come home or that will be coming home? And there's the war that's occurring between business and labor. Let me let you in on a little secret, Paul.
There are not too many secrets that I am not aware of.
Keep this one under your hat. You ever get to be vice president, get a flashlight, because you're definitely going to be left out in the dark.
Can't you depend on friends to help you?
You want a friend in Washington, get a dog. I mean, look what happened here in the Oval Office a few days ago.
I beg your pardon.
I felt like I was at Pearl Harbor.
Aren't you being a little dramatic?
Hell no! You and your people were trying to set me up.
My race has been set up for over 300 years.
Look, I need to clarify some things.
Would you care to clue me in?
That's easy enough to do. On July 29th, you sent me a telegram under the auspices of the Council on African Affairs, of which you are its chairman.
That is correct.
In said telegram, you demanded that the federal government intercede in the apprehension and punishment of the perpetrators in the recent lynchings of the 4 Negroes in the state of Georgia.
I would have made the same demand if it were Negroes who had lynched 4 white men.
To make matters worse, the general contents of this article made its way into an article in the Daily Worker.
The last I heard, this was still the United States of America.
What does that mean?
That I have the right to say and write what I want, and that also holds true for the Daily Worker.
The Daily Worker is a communist publication.
The Daily Worker could be a Ku Klux Klan, Quaker, American Nazi, or Dixiecrat publication for all that I care. I'm sure you've heard of freedom of press and speech.
What makes you think that I haven't looked into the Georgia situation?
Let's just say that from my angle, it certainly doesn't appear so.
I called the governor of Georgia. You know what he said to me? Your damn nose out of Georgia's business.
And what did you say to him?
I certainly didn't threaten him with the FBI or the use of federal troops. That's not what I have stuck in my gut today.
What stuck in your gut is the meeting we had in the Oval Office on the 23rd of September.
It's a waste of time if there ever was one. I know I have a temper, but please hear me out.
You didn't hear me or the delegation out. Hell, man, you threw us out.
For that, I apologize. Have some more hearts.
We'll get on with it.
On September 19th, you sent my advisor, David
A
Niles,
very long and detailed telegram.
which was totally uncalled for.
Totally uncalled for.
A simple phone call would have been enough.
Oh no, Mr. Truman, it would not have been enough.
Don't you, what do you mean it wouldn't have been enough? How wouldn't it have been, did you have to show up? Oh, did you have to show up with all these people? John, second stack of the Chicago Defender, Mrs. Harper Sibley, United Council of Church Women, Rabbi Irving Miller of the American Jewish Congress, Dr. Joseph Johnson, Dean of Medicine, representing the Southern Conference of Human Welfare, Dr. Max Yergman, Dr. William Yegeman, Dr. Charlotte Brown, and Congressman William Lawson of Chicago. Here's the kicker. In the telegram, quote unquote, brief statement containing main points the committee wished to discuss will follow. Paul Robeson. That's not how things are done around here, Paul.
I am not your boy, Mr. Truman. I don't take marching orders from you or anyone else.
Don't you think it would have been better if you and a few committee members could have come and met with me in the context of a little more privacy?
Like the Blair House.
No. A private residence where reporters aren't around. A place where you and I and a few committee members could sit down and agree to disagree.
Then what?
We would start working on a plan, a policy designed to decrease lynchings in this country.
Lynchings need to be eliminated and dealt with by the full power of the United States government.
Says who?
Don't you have any morals or principles?
Morals and principles don't get votes, don't get legislation passed.
What are you saying?
Votes do. Do you think the House and the Senate are actually really capable of passing an anti-lynching bill? In the name of all that's good and holy, that this Congress would pass such a bill?
I don't believe God has let me go this far only to leave me.
When I want to hear the gospel, I go to church on Sunday.
Damn is the man who runs away from himself.
That's not what I want from you.
What is it then?
Tone it down a little. You're making a big attraction of yourself. Activist, actor, singer, potential politician.
You forgot linguist, all-American athlete in college football, Phi Beta Kappa. Oh, and one of the first Negroes to play and star in professional football.
My memory isn't as good as yours.
I have no interest in running for public office.
That's fine with me. But it does seem strange how much time you're spending with Henry Wallace and the Progressive Party.
Are you trying to intimidate me?
I don't have to, Mr. Robeson. But it does amaze me how you're spending so much energy to support a political party that has a snowball chance in hell of taking over the White House.
Our political system is corrupt to the core and needs to be changed.
Maybe. But splitting up the Democratic Party is not the solution. The wolves are lurking out there in the woods. You have no idea how much the Dixiecrats want to disenfranchise the American Negro. And there's a fresh crop of newly minted conservative Republicans truly bent on changing the foundation of this great democracy. They will turn brother against brother to get a vote.
You paint a very moving and bleak picture, but I am not impressed. The American Negro has given this country his loyalty and blood only to receive empty and broken promises in return. As for me, I intend to be critical of your administration like white on rice. My voice shall not be silenced by you or anyone else in this country.
Don't count on it.
As I said in the Oval Office, if this government doesn't address the problems of lynching, the Negroes will.
Do you know who came down here the next day, what's that fancy word for
Do you mean genuflected?
That's it. You do it all the time in those Shakespeare plays. Who do you think is down here with sweat on his brow and slightly out of breath? He's your number one fan.
It matters not to me.
J. Edgar Hoover. Shows me a file must have been 10 inches thick. Photos, articles, interviews, the works. Says to me, don't you think we should do something about this? And when he says we, he means he wants to nail you. Put your head up on his trophy wall. We had a lot of photos of you with white, English, and American actresses.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. He's persecuted Negroes for far too long. You should fire him.
He has more power than you think. You know, old Tom Pendergrass once gave me a word of advice. He said, better to keep your enemies close at hand rather than have them banished to an isle. Easier to keep an eye on. Back in 1943, a few congressmen made accusations that David Niles was a communist. Or rumor had it that Hoover had his hand in the pie. That was before I became vice president.
But when you became vice president, you started to keep a file on J. Edgar.
What you just said makes sense.
I cannot, as you say, tone it down a little. I must use my voice and stature as a clarion call to show the injustices and discriminating practices raining down upon my people as if they were Noah on the ark.
That's right, your father was a minister.
And so is my brother.
What does the ark have to do with any of this? I'm talking about you giving me a little more room to maneuver in the political landscape.
It can't be done.
It can't be done, or do you mean you won't do it?
Take the even, take the odd. We will not bend to your wishes, Mr. President.
Sit tight for a minute. Just give me a moment. Hell, I can't tell you how many folks in my family before the Confederacy. Hell! When my mother visited here, she refused to sleep in Lincoln's bed, let alone look at the room. Before I shipped off to France, one of my commanding officers took me in his office for a little chat. Harry says, things aren't the same in the States as they are over in France. With regard to the Negro, you know that, don't you?
Wonder of wonders. How many times has the Negro been dragged into the white man's wars? How many?
I would imagine all.
You're damn straight. And once the war is over, we're treated worse than ever.
I do what I can. I've seen black soldiers killed in France. I've seen black farmers lynched in my home state. I spilled my guts when I heard how bad American African and GIs were being treated upon returning home.
And what have you done about it?
It takes time.
Unfortunately, Mr. President, time is running out.
I'm in the process of forming a committee on civil rights.
And the committee will come out with a report in several years, which in turn will be tabled for future adjudication. I'm sure you've heard of executive orders.
Don't tell me how to do my job.
Then step up and do it.
You know, old Tom had another piece of advice for me.
You sound like he's Socrates.
He said, don't piss all your piss in one bucket. Like you don't know how many fires you might have to put out.
I'm sitting here listening to the President of the United States extrapolate about urine.
Can't shove executive orders down the public's throat just because they may be a bunch of ignorant jackasses.
How dare you speak about lifting so lightly?
I know and you know that this country is going to be in another war sooner than we might think.
World War III? If there is another war, it won't be started by our brothers in Russia.
The point I'm trying to make is that if there is another war, not World War III, a little war, okay? I plan on fully integrating all branches of the armed services, treating all servicemen fully equally.
And how do you plan on doing that?
I'm the goddamn commander-in-chief. I'm going to do it by executive order.
But not lynchings.
How poor are they that have not patience? What wound did ever heal but 5 degrees?
You quote Shakespeare, And Iago at that.
Thought it would catch your attention,
I'm impressed.
but you can't schedule a series of concerts without political interviews or commentary or extended.
I haven't seen any pigs flying as of late. Have you? You know, most folks think New Jersey has good racial relationships with its Negroes. But like Sporting Life says in Porgy and Bess, it ain't necessarily so. It is in Alabama and Mississippi, but there's always room for improvement. Wouldn't you agree?
Fairness is difficult to achieve. Therefore, always leave room for improvement.
When I was a student at Somerville High School, I lettered in baseball, basketball, football, and track.
No matter the sport, I could always hear the word coon echoing in the stands. I sang in the chorus, performed in Julius Caesar and Othello. I got along with most of the kids at the school, but the principal, he had enough for me. Although I was at the top of my high school senior class, no one told me about the 4-year competitive examination scholarship for Rutgers University. Bastard. I do hold myself as of some importance because I am a proud man.
You must have found out.
Why is that?
You did go to Rutgers on a 4-year scholarship.
The maid who worked for some rich white folks told me. I can't tell you what some of my fellow Rutgers students tried to do to me. From dog and human feces in my gym locker to false accusations regarding my character. Believe me when I say college was much worse than high school. It's time to leave. I guess you want me to go out to California, sing some monthly concerts at the Hollywood Bowl, do a few movies, play a sharecropper or a butler.
They still like you out there. San Francisco, Honolulu, Scarlet's Wine and Sunshine. Doesn't that sound appealing?
Let me tell you about California. There's a godforsaken town out there in the middle of nowhere named Fresno. Friends and I are walking to a restaurant to get some food. The white man comes up to me and says, "Sorry, but we're not served." And I say, "But you are served. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon." He makes a step towards me and I to him. And my companion says, "We better watch ourselves. This town is bad news." While I walk back to the car, I realize how deeply racism truly plagues our country. I might as well have been in South Carolina. We're going to stick on you like fly on fly paper.
So be it. An itch I can't scratch.
Something like that.
Do we have an understanding, Paul?
Yes, sir. To agree to disagree.